We just received word. It's a startling, sad story. Ray Liotta has died. The actor, a really good actor, was 67 years old. He was shooting a film in the Dominican Republic called Dangerous Waters. Deadline Hollywood reports Ray Liotta, who had visited with us here on the set on more than one occasion, has died in his sleep.
In 2022, a wave of shock and disbelief spread through the entertainment world with the news that Ray Liotta had passed away. On May 26th, at the age of just 67, he died unexpectedly in his sleep while on location in the Dominican Republic. He was in the middle of filming a new project, Dangerous Waters, and by all accounts, he was full of life, actively engaged in his work, and making plans for a future that seemed to stretch out before him. The suddenness of his death, occurring far from home during the creative process, left colleagues and fans alike in a state of profound confusion and sadness. In the immediate aftermath, tributes poured in from every corner of Hollywood, celebrating his talent and his legacy. However, as the initial wave of grief subsided, it was replaced by a lingering and unsettling silence. For nearly a year, a persistent question hung in the air. What really happened to Ray Liotta? The absence of an official cause of death fueled speculation and mystery. When the official autopsy report was finally released to the public, the clinical findings provided answers, painting a picture of a man whose body was quietly struggling beneath a vibrant exterior. The childhood wound and the search for identity. Raymond Allen Liotta was born on December 18, 1954, in Newark, New Jersey, but his life began with an act of abandonment. Left at an orphanage shortly after his birth, he spent the first 6 months of his life without a family before he was adopted by Mary and Alfred Liotta. His new family provided him with a stable and loving home in the township of Union, New Jersey. Alfred, the son of Italian immigrants, was the owner of an auto parts store, a practical and hard-working man. Mary, who was of Scottish descent, worked as a township clerk. They were good, solid people who gave Ray and his sister, Linda, who was also adopted, a conventional and supportive upbringing. From his earliest memories, Ray Liotta was aware of his status as an adopted child, a fact he was so comfortable with on the surface that he once made it the subject of a show-and-tell presentation in his kindergarten class. However, beneath this outward acceptance, the knowledge of his abandonment planted a seed of deep-seated emotional turmoil. He wrestled with feelings of anger, confusion, and an intense longing to understand the circumstances that led his biological mother to give him away. This internal conflict created what he would later describe as an emotional edge, a raw and volatile energy that he carried with him throughout his life. He often wondered how a mother could part with her child, and that sense of rejection became a source of both pain and a powerful unspoken motivation. The fact that his sister Linda was also adopted provided a unique sense of normalcy within their family structure, creating a shared experience that bonded them. The Liottas raised their children in the Roman Catholic faith, though their approach was not overly strict. Ray participated in the fundamental rituals of the church, such as his first communion and confirmation. But for him, religion served more as a cultural backdrop than a deep spiritual practice. It was a foundation he had, and he would later admit that during the more challenging periods of his adult life, he found himself instinctively returning to the simple prayers he had learned as a child, seeking a comfort that was rooted in his earliest years. This search for answers and belonging eventually led him, in his 40s, to hire a private detective to locate his birth mother. The reunion, when it finally happened, was not the dramatic, tearful event one might see in a film. Instead, it was a quiet and informative meeting that provided him with a sense of closure. His biological mother, also of Scottish heritage, explained that she had been young and lacked the resources to care for him. He came to understand that her decision, though painful, was made out of a desire for him to have a better life. Through this process, he also discovered that he had a biological sister, a half-brother, and 5 half-sisters, revealing a complex family history he never knew existed. This discovery helped to resolve some of the lingering anger, replacing it with a quiet understanding of his own origins. An accidental path to the stage. When Ray Liotta graduated from Union High School in 1973, a future in acting could not have been further from his mind. He had no clear career path, and academic pursuits were never his strong suit. He was a restless young man, more interested in sports and socializing than in books and exams, and he nearly missed out on higher education altogether after walking out in the middle of his SATs. His father, Alfred, a man of simple wisdom, offered him straightforward advice that would inadvertently change the course of his life. Go to college and just take whatever you want. With this guidance, Liotta enrolled at the University of Miami, initially planning to study liberal arts without any specific goal. His entry into the world of acting was a moment of pure, unplanned impulse. While standing in a long line to register for traditional academic classes, he noticed a much shorter line for the university's drama department. Acting on a whim, he switched lines, a spontaneous decision made primarily because he heard that the drama program had no math requirements. His first experiences on stage were not in serious, dramatic productions, but in light-hearted musicals and children's theater. He performed in productions like Cabaret and The Sound of Music, activities he initially viewed as fun and easy. However, as he spent more time in the theater department, something began to shift within him. He discovered that acting was a world where his instincts and emotions were not just accepted, but were essential tools. It was a discipline that valued raw feeling over intellectual knowledge, providing an outlet for the intense energy that had always simmered beneath his surface. This environment felt more like home to him than any classroom ever had. He thrived, and in 1978, he graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, having accidentally stumbled upon the passion that would define his professional life. The early years as a soap opera nice guy. Armed with his new degree and a burgeoning ambition, Ray Liotta moved to New York City to pursue a professional acting career. Like countless aspiring actors before him, he faced the immediate challenge of supporting himself while chasing auditions. He found work as a bartender at a theater in the Schubert organization, a job that kept him connected to the industry and allowed him the flexibility to attend casting calls. His talent and unique intensity were quickly recognized, and within just 6 months of arriving in the city, he had secured an agent, a remarkable achievement for a newcomer. His first major break came in 1978, when he was cast as Joey Perini in the long-running daytime soap opera Another World. For 3 years, from 1978 to 1981, Liotta became a familiar face to millions of television viewers. His character, Joey, was the quintessential nice guy, a sweet, loyal, and hopelessly romantic young man who was often entangled in tragic love affairs. This role was a complete antithesis to the tough, menacing, and unpredictable characters that would later become his signature. He projected an image of gentle sincerity and boyish charm, winning the hearts of the show's audience. The experience of working on a daytime drama was an invaluable training ground. The fast-paced production schedule required him to learn lines quickly, hit his marks consistently, and deliver emotional performances on a daily basis. It was, as he would later reflect, a fantastic way to become comfortable and technically proficient in front of a camera. Years later, during an appearance on a talk show hosted by Bonnie Hunt, he was shown a clip of his performance as Joey Perini. His reaction was one of genuine surprise and amusement at the stark contrast between the fresh-faced, earnest young man on the screen and the seasoned, intense actor he had become. The role had served its purpose, but it was a skin he was eager to shed. The Hollywood breakthrough and the fear of typecasting. By 1981, Ray Liotta had grown restless. While the steady work and recognition from another world provided a level of security, he knew that staying in the world of soap operas would limit his potential as an actor. He made the professionally risky decision to leave the show and move to Los Angeles, determined to break into the more prestigious and challenging world of feature films. The transition was far from easy. The initial years in Hollywood were a period of struggle and frustration, marked by a series of minor, often forgettable roles in television shows, like a short-lived TV adaptation of Casablanca and an appearance on the medical drama St. Elsewhere. He refused to be discouraged, however, and dedicated himself to honing his craft. He enrolled in acting classes with the respected coach Harry Mastrogeorge, where his classmates included other rising talents like Kevin Costner, Stephen Bauer, and Melanie Griffith. It was his friendship with Melanie Griffith that ultimately provided him with his big break. In 1986, director Jonathan Demme was casting his offbeat crime comedy Something Wild, and Griffith, who was set to star in the film, relentlessly championed Liotta for the pivotal role of her character's violent and menacing ex-convict husband, Ray Sinclair. After Griffith's persistent efforts, Demme agreed to see him. The audition process was intense, requiring him to perform opposite the film's male lead, Jeff Daniels. Liotta unleashed the raw, unpredictable energy he had kept under wraps for years, delivering a performance that was both terrifying and magnetic. He won the role, and his portrayal of Ray Sinclair was a cinematic explosion. He was a force of nature in the film, completely stealing every scene he was in and leaving audiences and critics stunned. His performance earned him a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actor and instantly put him on the map in Hollywood. The industry had taken notice of a powerful new talent. However, this breakthrough success came with a significant risk. The role of Ray Sinclair was so impactful that Liotta was immediately flooded with offers to play similar violent, psychotic characters. He recognized the danger of being typecast and becoming a one-note villain for the rest of his career. Determined to showcase his versatility, he made a conscious and difficult decision to be patient and selective. He turned down numerous lucrative offers, choosing instead to wait for roles that would allow him to explore different facets of his abilities. This led him to projects like Dominic and Eugene, where he played a gentle and protective medical student, a role that was a deliberate move to counteract the dangerous image he had established in Something Wild. The summit of a career, the story of Goodfellas. While Ray Liotta was carefully navigating his career post Something Wild, another performance quietly captured the attention of one of cinema's greatest directors. In 1989, he played the ethereal ghost of baseball player Shoeless Joe Jackson in the beloved fantasy drama Field of Dreams. His portrayal was restrained, soulful, and tinged with a magical sadness, demonstrating a completely different side of his acting range. This performance, combined with the explosive energy he had shown in Something Wild, convinced director Martin Scorsese that he had found the perfect actor to play the central character, Henry Hill, in his upcoming gangster epic, Goodfellas. The journey to securing what would become his most iconic role was, itself, a dramatic story. Scorsese was sold on Liotta from the beginning, but the studio, Warner Brothers, was hesitant. Liotta was not yet a major box office star, and the studio executives were pushing for a bigger name, even considering Tom Cruise for the part. The casting process dragged on, and Liotta heard nothing for nearly a year. The decisive moment came unexpectedly at the Venice Film Festival. Liotta saw Scorsese across a crowded hotel lobby and decided to approach him. As he moved through the crowd, the director's security team, not recognizing him, forcefully blocked his path. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, Liotta remained perfectly calm, held up his hands, and simply backed away. Scorsese witnessed the entire exchange and was deeply impressed by Liotta's ability to maintain control and composure under pressure. He saw in that moment the very essence of Henry Hill, a man who had to navigate a dangerous world with a cool head. Liotta also took matters into his own hands by directly confronting producer Irwin Winkler, passionately arguing his case and convincing Winkler that he was the only man for the job. Filming Goodfellas was an intense experience, made even more so by a personal tragedy. During the production, Liotta's adoptive mother, Mary, passed away after a long battle with cancer. He was devastated by the loss. On the day he received the news, he was scheduled to film a scene where the characters are celebrating a major heist. Despite his profound grief, he insisted on going to work. He channeled all of his pain and sorrow into the scene, and the raw emotion he brought to his performance that day is visible on screen. The entire cast and crew were aware of his situation, and their support created a uniquely poignant atmosphere. To prepare for the role, Liotta immersed himself in the life of the real Henry Hill, listening for hours to audio tapes of interviews the former mobster had given. His dedication was absolute, and the resulting film became an undisputed masterpiece of modern cinema. Goodfellas was a cultural phenomenon, and his portrayal of Henry Hill, from his seductive rise to his paranoid fall, was a tour de force that would forever define his career and solidify his place in film history. A career of choices, regrets, and what-ifs. In the wake of Goodfellas, Ray Liotta's image became inextricably linked with the character of Henry Hill and the broader genre of crime films. While he was immensely proud of the film and the legacy it created, he spent much of the rest of his career consciously working to ensure it wasn't the only thing he was known for. Contrary to popular perception, he appeared in more roles as a nice guy than as a villain. He played romantic leads in films like Corina and the comedy Heartbreakers, and he took on warm, supporting roles that showcased his softer side. Yet, it was always the dangerous, intense characters that resonated most strongly with the public and defined his stardom. He came to accept this, understanding the immense cultural impact of his most famous role. On a personal level, Liotta was known for being deeply affected by the characters he played, often carrying their emotional weight with him even after the cameras stopped rolling. He was also famously outspoken about his professional standards and had little patience for directors he felt lacked a clear vision or competence. Throughout his career, he made several decisions that he would later look back on with a sense of regret. One of the most significant was his choice to turn down the opportunity to meet with Tim Burton about playing the lead role in the 1989 film Batman. At the time, he felt the comic book genre was not for him, a decision he later called one of his biggest professional mistakes. He also declined a major role as the character Ralph Cifaretto in the acclaimed television series The Sopranos, explaining that he had just finished a difficult film and did not want to commit to another project about the mafia at that time. His later career was a mix of interesting character work, some commercial disappointments, and a few moments of public controversy. He publicly defended director Woody Allen during the height of the Me Too movement, stating his belief in Allen's innocence. He came full circle, in a sense, when he accepted a role in The Many Saints of Newark, the prequel film to The Sopranos, where he delivered a compelling dual performance as twin brothers. Despite the occasional misstep, he remained a respected and consistently working actor, always bringing a level of commitment and intensity that elevated any project he was a part of. A sudden end and the truth revealed. The story that began with the shock of his death on May 26, 2022, came to its factual conclusion nearly a year later. The initial absence of information had allowed for a cloud of speculation to form, but in May 2023, the official autopsy report provided a clear and definitive answer. The documents, obtained by the media, revealed that Ray Liotta's death was the result of natural causes. The primary causes were listed as respiratory failure, pulmonary edema, a condition where excess fluid collects in the lungs, and acute heart failure. The report also noted that he suffered from atherosclerosis, a chronic condition involving the hardening and narrowing of the arteries, which was a significant underlying factor. This clinical explanation put an end to all rumors and confirmed that his passing, while tragically premature, was not the result of any foul play or external factors. In the months between his death and the release of the report, his legacy was honored by the industry he had dedicated his life to. On February 24, 2023, he was posthumously awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In a moving ceremony, his daughter, Carson, accepted the honor on his behalf, speaking eloquently about her father's passion for his work and his love for his family. The event was a testament to the enduring impact he had on cinema and the high regard in which he was held by his peers and his millions of fans around the world. Ray Liotta's career was not a story of continuous, unbroken ascent to the highest echelons of stardom. Instead, it was a fascinating and complex journey filled with brilliant peaks, quiet valleys, and intriguing detours. He left behind a body of work rich with color and variety, anchored by at least one performance so iconic that it has become a permanent part of our cultural lexicon. At the very heart of his extraordinary talent was the persistent, unresolved pain of his childhood. The feeling of being abandoned, of being an outsider from the moment he was born, became the emotional fuel that powered his most memorable and electrifying performances. He learned to channel that inner turmoil into his characters, giving them a depth, a vulnerability, and a dangerous unpredictability that was utterly captivating. His life was a testament to the power of instinct, from his impulsive decision to join the drama department to the brave and sometimes difficult career choices he made along the way. Though he may be gone, the indelible images he created, the haunted gaze of shoeless Joe Jackson, the seductive charm and terrifying paranoia of Henry Hill, and the countless other characters he brought to life, will continue to live on, ensuring that the legacy of Ray Liotta remains deeply etched into the history of film for generations to come.